What's happening, everybody? I hope that you are well. It is an honor, a joy, and an element of pure happiness for me to welcome the one and only Marco Messina onto this channel from IFTV. He is a king, somebody I've known from way back in the day. Marco, I think this may be the debut for you on this channel. So welcome, my friend.
I think so. I know we go way back. It's been so long that we've been able to connect. Thank you for having me on. First of all, I'm a big fan of everything that you do. Too nice of an intro. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit sad that we're coming on because one of my favorite players is leaving Serie, which is the league that I love. But I am pretty happy that he's going to Chelsea. If he had to go somewhere, it's not a bad destination.
Marco's, of course, referring to Kalidou Koulibaly, who Chelsea have signed. It's a player that Chelsea have admired for years. It's somebody that we have often been linked with. We've finally got the deal over the line, and he comes in to effectively replace Antonio Rüdiger. Obviously, Chelsea have a bit of a crisis at centre-half. Christensen, Rüdiger, maybe a new shape coming in. But Koulibaly is about as perfect an answer as you can give for a crisis solution. Is that fair, Marco? This is a brilliant signing for Chelsea in the circumstances, isn't it?
For me, he's been one of the best center backs in the world for a long time, like really up there with unbelievable players. I never thought he was going to leave Napoli because he had such like a tie with that city, with the people over there. But for a lot of reasons, he had to leave this season because of stuff that happened with the president. And also, I think he's just like an ambitious guy that he's getting to 31 years old. Chelsea provides him an opportunity to actually fight for titles and to play at that top level. And you're really getting one of the best center backs in the world. I think you're going to absolutely fall in love with him.
Do you genuinely believe that? Is he that good?
Yes, he really is. There's few players. You know, I'm very critical with players as well. Like usually I'm not this high on guys, but he is one of those players that like since 2014 when he went to Napoli, it's not just the guy on the pitch, because of course the player on the pitch is important and he's been like sensational. It's also the man off the pitch who just like he pulls on the strings of the hearts of all the fans because he's the perfect player in the locker room. He loves the city. He loves the people that he represents. He's a team player. He's a silent leader that puts his head down, just gets to work, no nonsense. He really is like one of those perfect players. And when they were talking about him possibly leaving to other teams, I said, he is the guy to pick up for anyone. I know Juventus were linked to him. He was the first choice for everyone. Even if Juventus would sell De Ligt, most fans would have been okay because they said, all right, you'll bring in Koulibaly, who's an even better player.
Wow. I mean, that is high praise. In terms of transferring that form, so the player that you've described sounds immense, a true leader, somebody that Chelsea could really benefit from. Do you think, though, that the skills that you have witnessed so frequently in Serie A will be easily translated into the Premier League form?
So I feel like, all right, so Serie A is my favorite league, obviously. But if I don't speak with emotion, if I just speak logically, Premier League is the top league in the world. I mean, nobody can doubt that. Serie A is my favorite, but Premier League level-wise is the best. But I think when we talk about defense and we talk about defenders, I still see Italy as the school for defenders.
Yeah, and I think that's fair.
When you play in that sort of system, the amount of focus, the amount of concentration, the amount of intention that goes into all the details in defending, I think when you translate that from going from Serie A to the Premier League, it's probably the best case scenario. If we want to talk about an attacker, maybe going from Serie A to Premier League, I think that's a good debate. You know, we could say, all right, maybe that's going to take some time. But when we talk about a defender, I feel like he's already gone through like one of the toughest schools, you know, and there's so many defenders that have gone from Serie A to Premier League. Rüdiger was one of those guys that I watched at Roma for a long time. Thiago Silva, there's so many examples that I think he's going to translate perfectly.
That's fantastic. I'd say one of the main differences when you analyze Premier League football, compare it to Serie A, would be the physicality. That's the one thing that I think is very different. I think you get away with a lot more in the Premier League. I think you can be the word I'll use is robust. I won't say aggressive. I'll say robust. You can be a more robust centre forward. Will Koulibaly struggle with that? The physicality of the game is not going to be an issue. He'll be able to transfer his skills and deal with the rigors of the Premier League.
I think that was like one of his best attributes at Napoli. And like, obviously at Napoli, he was the man. He was the center back. So whenever you have to go up against some of the biggest number nines in Serie A and even in Champions League, he was always the one that had to mark them. And whether it was a big physical number 9 that liked to get in there and get his foot in there and be physical, he was able to handle them. or whether it was a guy that was a little bit smaller and played like a false number 9 role that wanted to dribble him. He's so good on a one-on-one that he's able to kind of do both. He's able to be that physical player when he needs to be, but he's also intelligent enough on the one-on-one and quick enough on the one-on-ones that he could adapt his game. And I feel like he had so many different defenders, so many different center back partners at Napoli, and so many different coaches that had different styles, like Sarri, which you guys know so well, allowed him to be a little bit more free and to go up. And Spalletti has been a little bit more defensive. I think now that he's going to be at a system at Chelsea that has, some of the best players in the world, I'm so excited to see how can he excel with some of the best players around him and just do what he does best.
Okay, that's really good to hear. Do you know what I'm going to do, Marco? Just for balance, okay. I'm going to go from a more negative point of view from a Chelsea perspective, just to balance it out, just to see what you think of this. So Chelsea potentially have made a bad decision, and this would be the reasoning as to why. What we had with Antonio Rüdiger was a player that was Premier League proven, a player that was Tuchel proven, and a player that had established a popularity within the dressing room and a relationship with his defensive partners and goalkeeper. So we had the hat trick. Happy in the Premier League, happy with the manager happy with him, and he had an established relationship with certain players. We wouldn't pay Rüdiger the money that we wouldn't pay Rüdiger, we are actually now paying, and we are probably in deficit because we're having to pay that to Koulibaly. So financially, we are less well off. And perhaps it's fair to say we're taking a gamble. We're bringing in somebody who isn't Premier League proven, he isn't Tuchel proven, and he isn't proven to link up well with the existing defence at Chelsea. We don't know if he can play with Ben Chilwell. Who knows? That's Maybe fair. He can. We hope he can. Those three things, Premier League proven, Tuchel proven, linking up with Reece James, Ben Chilwell. How do you feel he will cope with those three big factors?
That's a fair argument. And of course, we never know. Like, I love this player. He's one of my favorites. But of course, anything could happen. This is football. I think that what I would say is, I'll use the example of knowing Rüdiger when he was at his time at Roma. He wouldn't have been one of those guys that I would come on here and tell you like, oh, I'm sure about this player. Like, he's been one of the best. He was a really good defender. He excelled at Chelsea and he did amazing with you guys. But I would not have been as sure that he would have linked up and done as well. Koulibaly is one of those players that, for me, it's like, it feels like a no-brainer.
Okay,
like,
mate, that's amazing.
He's that good. He's that good of a player. And for me, like, I'll give you the example, like you gave a great example of coaching and the players around him. He's had to adapt so much. All of his coaches, like Spalletti has said it, Sarri has said it, that he's become like their son because he's such a leader in training, in the locker room, in the way that he'll link up with his teammates. He's not that type that, like, his teammate messes up, he throws his hands and he's like, all right, these guys are terrible around me. No. Like, if there's a problem, he's the first to be in front of it and be like, let's find the solution. So he's been able to adapt his game with so many different players, coaches, styles, all that stuff. That amazing. I don't know. I feel like it's a perfect fit.
That, and do you know the comparison that you made there, the Rüdiger one? I think that's really relevant. So look, we never know. There's always jeopardy around players coming into a new league. But you would say that the starting point of Koulibaly and the starting point of Rüdiger,
completely different.
Okay,
for me, completely different. Completely.
Amazing. Okay, that is amazing. Do you know what I'd like to just have a quick chat about with you, Marco? I can see the Del Piero shirt. I'm looking closely. Is that a signed Del Piero shirt?
It is.
To you directly? Is that actually?
Yeah.
No way,
yeah.
Mate.
It says to Marco, a hug and friendship.
Written in Italian.
Yeah, in Italian.
Mate, do you know it's quite poignant that you've got that there, because I read there's a magazine that goes out in the UK, or maybe it goes out worldwide actually. It's called 442 magazine. It's like the one magazine that I subscribe to. I rate it. I think it's brilliant. In last month's issue, there was an entire piece about Del Piero.
Really?
It was such a moving piece. Like the way that he speaks about Juventus. Obviously, there was the whole what do they call it? The scandal. They call it something. Calciopoli. Yeah. How do you say it?
Calciopoli.
Okay, you say it a lot nicer. Yeah. But he was talking a little bit about that and why he stayed with the club and whatever. Is he the guy for you? Is he your Frank Lampard?
He's probably the only idol I ever had in football, and like, even besides my grandpa and my dad, who are the two most influential people in my life, Del Piero was the only other one that's not related to me. my confirmation, like, I don't know if you know confirmation, like
Yeah. We do
when you're
it. Yeah,
Catholic,
yeah. I'm a
we have to
God-fearing
give a
Catholic
name.
boy. I'm a God-fearing Catholic boy,
Yeah,
Marco.
there we go. I gotta throw it out there. They make you choose a confirmation name, and I went to Catholic school as a kid, and I remember like the nuns and the teachers, they're like, all right, go through like this saint book, like you have to choose a name of a saint. I didn't even open the book. I said, my name is going to be Alessandro.
Brilliant.
And they said, oh, so they go, oh wow, Saint Alex. Oh, he's an amazing saint for this reason, that reason. I said, listen,
Yeah.
I already have my saint, and that's it. But
Mate,
because of what you said though,
I love
off
it.
the field, I love a leader. Like, I love a guy who's just like falls in love with the club, who will, go down with the ship if he needs to. And it's just a leadership that he brought to the team that I love.
Also, do you know what I didn't realize? In this article, I mean, if anybody's interested, this article, I'm sure it'll be online. It's 442 about Del Piero. What I didn't realize is quite how many big names jumped ship. And look, I'm not judging people. They have situations and they don't want to play in Serie B. They have a finite career, whatever. But it was like big names left.
Ibra,
Vieira, Thuram. I think like big names left.
Everyone left.
And he
Almost
stuck
everyone.
around. It's so impressive, isn't it?
It was only 4 players stayed. So it was Del Piero, Buffon, Nedved, and Camoranesi.
It's amazing, isn't it? That is iconic. I think that kind of contribution, it deserves some sort of recognition, doesn't it? Now Juve back on top or whatever, it deserves like that statue material outside the stadium, isn't it?
So 2 things. I don't know if you ever heard the quote when they asked him. They said, "Why did you stay?" His quote was, "A true gentleman never leaves his lady." That's how he framed it, which is just poetry.
And it's the old lady as well. I mean, it works for anyone.
Exactly.
It's the old lady.
I know. I love it. Well, when he said that, I was just like, it's wrapped up. I already loved him before. And he's also one of those players, like, it's so funny. Like, I'll go play. I used to play all the time over here in Brooklyn, in New York. And I remember I was like 15 years old. And I was a very aggressive player. Like, I got into a lot of fights when I played. I was very bad. And I remember I got into this fight with this older guy. He was like 35. I was like 15, arguing back and forth. And as an insult to him, because like he was like a little bit of an older generation, he was like, your favorite player is probably Ronaldo or Messi. Like, you don't know anything about history. And I screamed back. I was like, my favorite player is Alessandro Del Piero. And he goes, Del Piero? He shook my hand. He goes, okay. He's like, about football. Like, we can be friends.
Love it. Amazing.
So
Amazing. Do you still play? Do you know I've got this little fancy? My cousin had his stag do in New York. And I played a game of football on his stag. It was the best pitch I've ever played on. I've got this little fantasy.
5?
No,
Brooklyn Bridge Park?
No, it's not in Brooklyn. It's the other side of the water. It's in New Jersey, but it's on the Hudson.
Oh, I think it's Frank Sinatra Park.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah,
that's
I know
it.
Yeah.
That is the best football pitch I've ever like. Mate, I've played at Wembley. Do you know what I mean? I've played at Wembley. Like, the best football pitch I've ever played on is that pitch, because it's
Frank
right
Sinatra
on the
pitch.
Hudson, overlooking New York City, Manhattan. It's truly brilliant. Do you still play a game, by the way? That's
because I haven't taken you around in Brooklyn yet. Once you see the field that I'm going to bring you to Brooklyn, it's even better than that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, mate, that's going to happen, because I will definitely. I'm getting to New York this year, and we'll have a game of football. I'm
going to send you a picture. I'll show you this view. It's unbelievable.
Done. Definitely send it to me. Marco, thank you so much. It's an honor to have you on this channel. It really is. Marco is one of the good guys on YouTube. Trust me, he is a gentleman. Make sure that you subscribe to his channel. The link is in the description below. Marco, it's wonderful to see you doing so well. That gig that you got with CBS, it's iconic. It's amazing, mate. You've done so.
I have to pay you for all these compliments.
I saw Marco. I follow Marco on Instagram, right? I've seen him doing 2 things, and I was just like, that guy has smashed it. Interviewing Jose Mourinho overlooking the Colosseum. That photo, that is the very definition of making it. Like, I remember when I was talking to the True Geordie, I said this to him. He was presented a trophy by Alan Shearer. And Geordie was knackered, right? We played football. He's knackered. Wow. He's lying on the floor. He's got his hand over his head. And I went over to him and I was like, look, when people talk and they kind of go, you've made it. Mm-hmm. I don't really know what that means. I don't know what the it is, but it's a fluid concept, right? Geordie being presented a trophy by Alan Shearer, his boyhood icon. That's making it. I don't know what it means, but you've done it. You interviewing Mourinho, overlooking the Colosseum. That's it, bro. You can retire. You've done it.
No, now that I've been on your channel, now I can
mate, how quickly, Mourinho, good guy off camera. How was that?
Truly unbelievable. Completely misunderstood for me.
Really?
Everything that everyone says about him, I don't agree at all.
Really?
Amazing guy. Amazing.
Marco, as always, thank you so much. And like I say, everybody, the link is in the description below. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you all very soon. Have a lovely day. Ta-da.